Well, hello, I'm Catherine Branco. We have a superb event planned for you today. Let's kick things off with the sensational singer-songwriter sisters, Camille and Haley.
So, On the Road Again, one of the first country songs you learned. So, like everything else. Here you go, it's one of our favorites. On the road again. Just can't wait to get on that road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Going places that I've never been. Seeing things I may never see again. And I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Like the band of gypsies as we go down the highway. We're the best of friends. System that the world keeps turning our way. And our way is on the road again. I just can't wait to get on that road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait to get on the road again. And I can't wait to get on the road again. I can't wait to get on the road again. Well, hello, we are Camille and Haley. We are sisters. Thank you. I was sliding through to see all these ladies and people are coming on. It's so much fun. Who's on here? So we're excited, and I don't know if you guys have heard about us or not, but we are sisters from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And we love President Trump, as many of you most likely do as well. And we are very conservative Christians. Right. And we're second and third of 8 kids, 29, 27. Yeah. And so we've been doing politics for a little bit because in 2012, we wrote a song for Rick Santorum. And he was running, and our song went viral. And so it was like the first introduction into politics for us. And we started singing for a lot of Republican events around different cities and towns and everything. And so that was so much fun. And so Game On. It's called Game On. You can see that on YouTube. But we also wrote a song for President Trump just recently, and it blew up to like 33 million views online. And so it got us traveling the country, and we have so enjoyed it. So we thought we'd play that song for you guys today. It's called Keep America Great. This is Keep America Great. Here we go. Alrighty, coming right up. Keep America great. Keep America great. Gotta stick to our gun, keep the freedom we want, keep America great. There will never be another USA, freedom won't come back if we give it away. Time to vote, time to pray, join as one, let me hear you say, up top, 2020, up top, 2020, up top, 2020, up top. Keep America first. Keep America strong. We are all in the fight for our God-given rights. Keep America one. 1, 2, 3, 4. There will never be another USA. Freedom won't come back if we give it away. Time to vote. Time to pray. If you love your flag, let me see it wave. Up top. 2020. Up top. 2020. Up Trump, 2020, up Trump. 4 more years. Come on, everybody, 4 more years. Come on, everybody, 4 more years. Come on, everybody, 4 more years. There will never be another USA. Freedom won't come back if we give it away. Time to vote, time to pray. So as one, let me hear you say, up top. 2020, up top. 2020, up top. 2020, up top. Keep America great. Keep America great. Thank you. I'm going to slide through here and see who's all on here because it is so inspiring.
Oh, she's got a flag. I love it.
Oh, I love all the flags. Okay,
We're just talking about the how great. Unmute.
Oh, okay, I'm muted for some reason. Okay, Miss Jessie Morton from Louisiana Federation called me this morning. She's my honorary grandma, and she said, you have to write a song about the flag. And so that is one of our next things. It keeps
Sorry,
on,
he's unmuting.
it keeps on muting us.
Scrolling, maybe. I don't know.
Scrolling.
Okay, this is called Back the Blue, and it is our pro-law enforcement song. We found out that the Austin Police Department had been defunded, and we were just invited to an event for the police, and we are like, my dad called and said, you need to write a song when he heard we were going to the event. So this is what came out. And when did we,
we prayed about
August?
it.
I guess
August we wrote it.
Yeah,
this is our newest music video on our Camille and Haley channel. If you want to go look it up and share that. So here we go.
Back the Blue.
We will back the blue.
24/7, even holidays, a minute and up to date. Police departments, take your breaks. Who's gonna stand for justice? Running toward the bullets when we fall. They give their lives, risk it all, and you never know their names. Not one line, it's an emergency. Wake up, they're fighting for you and for me. Don't give up. It's time to stand and fight it. We will always stand beside you. We will pass through. These men and ladies dressed up in the line of fiery streets. Someone's dad, someone's mom, someone's daughter, someone's son. What makes them fight? Strangers holding up the law to keep us safe, keeping peace in our streets. Always one phone call away. They're fighting for you and for me. Don't give up. It's time to stand and remind them. We will wait and stand behind you. We will pass through. We will pass through. Our Father always told me, show them respect. Look in their eyes, shake their hand, and say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for all that you've done. That's all right. Wake up. They're fighting for you and for me. Don't give up. It's time we stand and remind them. We will always stand beside you. We will wait and stand behind you. You're back blue. You're back blue. Back blue.
So that is our newest song. So we're really excited about that. But we have a song. Newest.
No, this is actually
video.
newer. This one's newer.
We have
We
a
don't
lot
have
of
video
new.
for this one yet.
We're doing a lot of writing.
We may have a cause album, album for causes. So
We are working on a patriotic album. I've been so inspired. The older you get, I think the more you realize how much you love your country and how special it is, especially in America, and what we have to fight for, and morality. America was, one of our founders said, our country was made for a moral and religious people. And so if we cease to be putting God first in our nation, which we're not doing fully right now, freedom will go away because you have to have Christianity to sustain freedom because people have to govern themselves. I'm just reading right now the New England Primer. And I'm like, this is so amazing. This is like first graders and they're putting so much morality in it. I really encourage you to get that as a gift to me and my friend. I was like, wow, I'm loving this book. So just like the things they would put in the children back then are different than what they're doing now. And so anyhow, so this is our newest song. It's called March for Life. And we believe that the murder of the unborn in America is not being, it's not being looked over by God. And it does, I believe it does bring bad things in our nation. So we need to end this. And this is our part of our quest to finish, to bring it to an end. So it's called March for Life. Recently wrote a music video.
My body, my choice. Sounds right, but I can't ignore the noise. Something inside of me is whispering as I'm wrestling. Open up your eyes. It's not my right. It's not my choice to take an innocent life. Trade their future for the convenience of mine. So I will stand today for what I know is right. I will march the line. Two bodies, two lives. Two hearts beating inside. It doesn't take eyes to see the forming of God's masterpiece. I feel it deep inside. It's not my right. It's not my choice to take an innocent life. To trade their future for the convenience of mine. So I will stand today for what I know is right. I will march the light. Before I form you with the I knew you beautifully and wonderfully made. I love you, though some may call me unfair. I call you mine. That is right, not my right. Not my choice to take an innocent life. To trade their future for the convenience of mine. So I will stand today for what I know is right. And I will watch. This is my right. To be the voice of every unborn child. To overturn the laws that keep them bound. And for their right to life, the holy extra lives. Life is beautiful. Life is beautiful. Life is beautiful at every stage. Life is valuable, irreplaceable. So I will march the light today. I will march the light.
So I gotta see what time it is to make sure we have enough time. Alrighty, well, we are gonna do one of our originals. This is called Best Days of Your Life. And I'm so excited for all you ladies being on here because a lot of people are not interested in politics and don't know how much they count. And so anyhow, but this is like, a lot of people think that their best days are in their 20s or in their youth or in their 30s or whatever. And we believe that God's best days for us are right now. And so I gotta see the time just to make sure.
45 almost.
Okay, perfect. And this is a song, we sang it for a 60-year-old lady who's relaunching her ministry, her TV ministry overseas. Her husband had just died and she just felt like maybe it was time to take a step back, but she knew inside that God was calling her to more. And so we wrote this for her relaunching. It's called Best of Your Life.
Here we are.
I got a guitar hanging in my house, just sitting there, collecting dust, 'cause there's no time picked it up. He's got an old car rusted in his yard. He's been thinking about taking it apart. There's no time to do the things he wants. But maybe we stop watching TV, find the time for those things, the people that we love. These are the best days of your life. You got a heart that's beating, still got time. These are the years to dream, to think and say and re-believe. These are the best days of your life. They got a nice house and a couple of kids, but they've never learned to camp or fish, 'cause there's no time to leave this town. She's got an old dream from her younger years. She's getting courage to overcome her fears, 'cause there's no time like right now. Oh, baby, we got our father's strings to find the time for those things, people that we love. These are the best days of your life. You got a heart that's beating, you still got time. These are the years to dream, to think and say and re-believe. These are the best days of your life. So start now, don't doubt. Hold your pen and paper out. Write it down, spell it out. Pretend your life is starting now. These are the best days of your life. If you got a heart that's beating, you still got time, yeah. These are the years to dream, to think and say and re-believe. These are the best days of your life. These are the best days of your life. These are the best days of your life.
Almost, and then. Okay.
Alrighty, so we have one more for you. Is that about how much time we have, Ms. Catherine? Yes, okay. So I love this song so much, and I hope you guys do too. This is Proud to Be an American, and I am so thankful to be an American. We'll be singing
One of the
at
best
the end.
songs ever.
I absolutely love it. We'll be singing at the end to dismiss everybody. So thank you for having us on, by the way, today. We are just found out this Capitals. We are honorary members of your club. So thank you, and thank you guys voted on it. Actually voted on it. So I'm so thrilled. If tomorrow all the things were gone, I worked for all my life, and I had to start again, just my family by my side. Think what I gotta you can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, but at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died and gained that right to be. And I proudly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, we see the shining sea. From Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand.
Well,
Thank you so much.
y'all incredible. We still have a little bit more time before the governor joins us.
Oh,
Wonderful.
Okay, this is the song she was wanting to do that we were printing up in the very beginning. And we're just gonna do it. We don't have a music video for this, but it's a lot of words. But let's just do it like we do it on YouTube.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
So I'm not sure if everyone here. Okay, so we released this on election day for President Trump, and it's just a fun one about a lot of people. Whenever we came out and said like we love President Trump and like we support him strongly, because I did like so much research and I was so thankful for everything he did for our country and things I never thought would happen. Healthcare transparency in the VA. You know, the vets actually being taken care of and their approval rating so high. I was like, nobody like has been caring about this stuff, and I didn't even know it was possible. So, and so many things. Listen. Anyways, so people were like, how could you like President Trump? I'm like, oh my gosh, so obvious. So we wrote a song about it. So here goes. So obvious. Okay, so here's our intro.
1, 2, 3. Hey, we're Camille and Haley, writers of the Keep America Vote Trump 2020 song. And after it viraled, we got a lot of people asking, why would you vote for President Trump? Well, by now we think it's obvious, but we decided to ask our fans what they thought, and this is what they said.
We got a lot of feedback.
He's not a politician, but he won the first try, and he's got no competition for American pride. He's got the best presidential hair we've ever seen. He's got the best sense of humor on his Twitter feed, and he's draining that swamp. He's building that wall. He's America first and justice for all. That's why America loves President Trump.
When you read his executive orders and laws on WhiteHouse.gov and watch his briefings and speeches and study promiseskept.com, you see why America loves him and stands with him so strong. Through an unjust impeachment, phony Russian collusion, a politicized pandemic, and leftist delusions, this president stands tall, stronger with every blow. The fake news, the socialists, the communists, they're gonna fall. Because the lies can't stop him. The voter fraud won't rob him. The silent majority of the Patriot Army, we're gonna fight back and re-elect him. 2024. So he loves our Constitution and our nation under God, and we'll always stand for freedom of religion, speech, and guns. He's got the best presidential hair we've ever seen. He's got the first family and the secretary. He's draining that swamp. He's building that wall. He's America first and justice for all. He's got the best foreign policy we've ever seen. He's got the best first lady and best everything. He's draining that swamp. He's building that wall. He's America first and justice for all. And that's why America loves President. That's why America votes President. That's why America loves President Trump.
Great. Well, thank you so much. That was fantastic. Everyone, we are ready to get the show on the road. Please bow your heads for the invocation by Chris Coons, Executive Committee member of the Republican Party of Texas and President of the Bexar County Republican Women, the nation's third oldest chapter.
Greetings from Texas. What an honor and a delight to start your meeting as Republicans do to our Almighty God. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, be with us today as we share ideas and work together as a group to further the cause of freedom in our country. Today, more than any time since the beginning of our country, we are on a cusp of radical change, and we need to be steadfast in the beliefs that made our country so great. In the midst of turmoil or conflict, we will not be shaken. We want to remain firmly grounded as we overcome the daily obstacles presented to us at this time. Our hearts remain steadfast, trusting in you and your overall plan for our life. We ask you to bless the leaders we have elected. Grant that through their discussions, decisions, and perseverance, that we may solve our problems effectively and enhance the well-being of our nation. Give them and us the wisdom and courage to do what is right. We ask this in thy holy name. Amen.
Leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance is Chair of the New Hampshire Republican Party, Stephen Stefanik.
Thank you so much, and thank you for welcoming me to your meeting. Greetings from the great state of New Hampshire, the first in the nation primary, and I'm happy to say the only state in the country that in the last election flipped both our House, our Senate, and our Executive Council from Democrat to Republican. We are turning New Hampshire into a red island in a blue sea up here in the Northeast. And we welcome all of you to come visit us at any time. And I do plan to visit your great state of South Dakota. My wife has never seen Mount Rushmore, so the governor has invited us to come this summer, and we're looking forward to it. So without further ado, if everybody could join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Stephen. We really appreciate your joining us today. There are many great reasons to live in South Dakota. The sunsets, the Black Hills, the warm, welcoming people. But right at the top of that list is our strong, inspiring governor. Thanks to her, South Dakota has flourished. We are #1 for keeping jobs, #1 for keeping businesses and churches open, and #1 for keeping money in citizens' pockets. Above and beyond these achievements, Kristi Noem has become a leading voice for something crucial, something my friend called an American revival. Kristi represents the Republicans' path forward, but if you'll forgive me, it's not just for Republicans. No, her message resonates with all Americans, men and women who love this country, citizens who work for a living, value history, respect life, and treasure our Constitution. My husband's grandfather, a World War II fighter ace, numbered among those who supported FDR, JFK, and Ronald Reagan. If he were alive today, he'd be a Kristi fan. I was thinking of him when Governor Noem described how far left today's Democrats have moved. They have long since deserted JFK. Next week, they'll probably rip down statues of Roosevelt. Democrats have abandoned working families, the middle class, farmers, ranchers, miners, veterans, and Christians. Today's Dems have only scorn for patriots who love this land. If you own a Bible, a rifle, a truck, a small business, or like us, all four, Democrats call you evil. If you revere the great men who founded our country, Democrats despise you. But Governor Noem rightly said, without the words, the beliefs, and the sacrifice of those few, the world would not have a ringing example of true freedom. Any attempt to cancel the founding generation is an attempt to cancel our own freedoms. Always remember, America is good. Freedom is better than tyranny. We are unique. We are exceptional. And no American should ever, ever apologize for it. Friends, that's the message America wants. That's the vision to spur an American revival. So without further ado, let me introduce one of my heroes, a true patriot, a woman of strong principle, the dynamic leader my state and country desperately need, Governor Kristi Noem.
Oh my goodness, Catherine. Oh, I guess you guys can see that we've got some strong leadership in South Dakota. Catherine, thank you. I think you gave my speech for me. I don't even have any idea what to say now. Some of those excerpts were taken from the speech that I gave at CPAC just about a week ago. And they truly did come from my heart. I think that what I'd like to do today is just have a candid conversation with all of you. I want to thank you for all of your leadership in your states across the country, and for those of you from South Dakota for carrying that mantle here at home. I tell people all the time, no matter where I go, that we just in South Dakota this year did what Republicans always say we believe. We always talk about our values, our principles, the Constitution, our freedom and liberties. Here in South Dakota, we just put them all into place. And I think we're really using it as an opportunity to show people that what we believe in works. It really does create opportunities for families going forward. So I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a farmer and a rancher. I've been doing that my entire life. I ran a hunting lodge for many years. We ran a restaurant. My mom bought a restaurant years ago because she thought it would be fun. And within about 6 months, I was running her restaurant too, because it was a lot of work. And so it was probably one of my least favorite businesses, but it was wonderful because we got the chance to talk to people every day and spend time with them and serve them as well. My husband has an insurance agency that he runs, and then we have 3 kids, and we're going to have our first grandbaby on July 1st. So we're super excited about that as well. People always ask, how come I got involved in government and politics? And it was because we lost my dad in an accident. It was on March 10th. So yesterday was a tough day for us, and it still is, even 27 years later. But he was only 49 years old at the time, and he was killed, and we got hit with death taxes. So with owning the businesses that we had land and machinery and cattle, but we didn't have any money in the bank to pay those taxes. So that's what got me involved in government and politics. Was I could not believe a family could have a tragedy and then have a federal policy or law that threatened taking our family business away from us at that time. So I just started to show up. I just started to show up at policy discussions, at meetings, still ran our businesses, served in the legislature in leadership. I served in Congress for 8 years. And then now I've been governor for a little over 2 years. Folks, I think that what 2020 taught us is that leadership has consequences. That we look from state to state and we see those governors and we see the consequences of the decisions that they made and how dramatically they impacted people's lives. We saw people lose their freedom of speech this year. We saw people lose their freedom of assembly. We had leaders tell them that they couldn't meet, they couldn't gather together. I like that shirt, I see that. and we saw people lose their freedom of religion as well. So it was a challenging year, not just because of the pandemic. It was a challenging year because we saw the foundation of this country be challenged by leaders who overstepped their authority in a time of crisis. And when we allow that to happen, that's when they break this country. So I'll give you a quick update on where we are now as a state and really how we're doing going forward. When I talked to South Dakota when I was running for governor, I talked about the fact that I believed our state could be an example to the nation, that we are small, we don't have a lot of people, but that would allow us to do things that other states couldn't do. We could be a pilot project for a lot of the conservative reforms that we all say we believe in, and really show that they create opportunities for families. I campaigned on building strong families and strong businesses. I had no idea that the opportunity for us to really tell our story was going to come through a pandemic. We had our first virus cases on March 10th last year. So yesterday was the anniversary of that as well. And we also saw our first death on that date as well. We reported 5 cases and our first death on March 10th of 2020. We in South Dakota never closed any businesses. We didn't issue any shelter in place. I never mandated anything such as masks. I didn't even define what an essential business was, because I don't believe that governors have the authority to tell you that your business isn't essential. So I did not think that the path that we took in South Dakota would be unique. I spent hundreds of hours on the phone with governors from other states in discussions on what we were doing and decisions that we were making. And I know that every other governor had the same information that I had. We studied the virus, we studied how it would spread. We also talked a lot about what authorities we had and what authorities we didn't have. But I think what changed a little bit was that I spent a lot of time focusing on what the Constitution said my job was, what my state constitution said my job was, and I realized that I wanted to follow that path and would trust my people and allow them to use personal responsibility to take care of their families, make decisions for their health, but also keep their doors open on their business, take care of their employees as well. I think what we've done is remarkable in the fact that overwhelmingly the people that live in South Dakota are happy. It was a hard year. It was a tough year. We had tragedies, but they also appreciated the fact that they got to make decisions that worked for them and their community. I spent a lot of times on the phone and in meetings with mayors with legislators, with city councils, with county commissioners. I think that was one of the things that paid off for us, was spending all that time talking to them and sharing information with them and keeping them engaged as well. Today, South Dakota has the lowest unemployment rate in the nation. We were the only state in the nation that turned down the elevated unemployment benefits as well. And what was interesting to me was that when I said to the president, you know, thank you for the flexibility of letting us keep that higher level of unemployment payments going out, but I said, we don't need them, and we turned them down. Immediately within 1 week, we cut our unemployment claims in half. So what that meant was that those people that were on the sideline just because they could collect a bigger check decided now that that went away, that they were going to go back to work. And it really talked about the need to get people off of government programs and into jobs so they could provide for their families. And it was right there in the numbers the very next week when those unemployment claims were cut in half and people went back to work. We have the least amount of hours lost by employees in our state, the least amount of wages lost, the least amount of businesses that have been closed. We are moving families to South Dakota like crazy. Our real estate market has gone nuts, and I could triple the size of my economic development department, and we couldn't answer the phone fast enough for all the businesses that are moving into South Dakota. In fact, I specifically targeted Minnesota. We're getting a lot of businesses from California, from New York, from New Jersey, but the governor of Minnesota in particular was pretty critical of me in the decisions that I was making in several of his press conferences. And so what I did then was to use millions of dollars to specifically market South Dakota to his businesses and his families with the slogan, open for business. In South Dakota, we mean business. And on his TV, on the radio stations, on billboards, his transport buses and trains in the cities, it has my face, and South Dakota, we're open for business. And overwhelmingly, those companies are recognizing just over the state line the new opportunities that are available to them in South Dakota. I think it's important that we tell our story, not just for the benefit of our state and our economy, but for the benefit of Republican values and Republican principles, because we are trusting people and keeping government limited and allowing them to create more success, more opportunity for them, their kids, and their grandkids. We are seeing historic revenues come into our state like we've never seen in the history of South Dakota. You know, we are seeing more sales tax dollars than we've ever seen, increases that are kind of amazing. Our legislature is finishing up the budget today, and the big discussion has been on how to spend the hundreds of millions of dollars that we have that we weren't planning on spending. So what I've encouraged them to do is to put it into trust funds, to put it into reserves, and then invest in long-term infrastructure projects. And that's exactly what they're doing. We've had some great victories this year, but I've encouraged them all along to make sure that they're making decisions that are beneficial for our kids and for our grandkids. And if we're going to spend money on something, that we're going to spend it on something that'll benefit us for the next 30 to 50 years. I'm very proud of the work that they've done. We've also passed several bills that have protected freedom and liberty. We passed a freedom of choice in education on homeschool protections this year. We've passed some transparency, some private property protections, and did quite a bit to make sure that we were not just strengthening our law enforcement, but that we were also making them feel welcome. For 1 week, I advertised to law enforcement officers across the country that if they wanted to make their home in South Dakota, that we would love to have them. We got hundreds of applications from police officers that applied for positions in South Dakota from 41 different states. And I think it's remarkable the amount of those that are serving the public that decided they wanted to come to a state that loved them, appreciated them, and be a part of our communities. Our kids have been in school all year. They're doing great. For the few short amount of weeks that they weren't in school last spring, we noticed that our kids were only learning about 70% of their reading potential that they normally were getting, and only 50% of their math potential. And so when our kids were put back in the classroom as soon as possible, and they've been in all year, and they've been doing really good. Each school district has made different changes at different times to adapt to what they saw in their buildings. But I think overwhelmingly, it was wonderful to see that people were moving to South Dakota so their kids could be in the classroom, and that it was a priority for us. I'm just so grateful to live in this country, first of all. I think we've seen throughout this year a desire for the left to tear down our leaders, to tear down our monuments and our history. We passed a civic education bill this legislative session, which I'm very proud of, that will put more civics and government and history into our classrooms. I tried to pass that bill 3 years ago, and it was killed by Republicans, which was kind of shocking for me. So I'm very happy to see that this year everybody's on the same page and recognizing that our kids need to understand our history and the value of our leaders. Our leaders were all flawed. They were never perfect, but they led this country through challenging times. And they have a lesson to teach us, and are incredibly important for us to understand our history so that we can continue to protect our freedoms and what makes this country special. So I think we should never underestimate the power of telling stories. I'm going to encourage all of you. We talk about policies a lot. We talk about, what we believe, but I think it's important that we inspire people again. People are discouraged by politics, and they're discouraged by what they see when they turn on TV and the news and the media and the negativity. And I would just encourage you, when you're talking to folks, make sure that we're not just talking about what we believe, but give them examples and tell your stories of how it really has impacted you and your family, because that is really what makes people, have a heart for this country and have a heart for the future, and really what we can continue to be and to grow. We're going to face some challenges here with the Biden administration, but I think if we're united and we focus on our priorities and we tell those stories, that we'll be able to make sure that we not just take back the White House, but that we'll also have the opportunity to elect more Republicans to the Senate, to Congress, and also to our state legislators and in governors' seats. We have many, many governors' races that are coming up, and it's going to take a lot to defend them, but also make sure that we're making a difference in Washington, D.C. as well. So with that, I'm going to stop and just let you guys ask me questions. I always think that's a lot more fun anyways.
Well, thank you so much. And I know that things are crazy for you right now, but we have a few ladies with questions. The first is President of the National Federation of Republican Women, Ann Shockett.
Thank you so much, Catherine. It is such a distinct pleasure and an honor. Do you hear me?
I do.
Oh,
Yep.
Very good. It is such an honor and such a pleasure to join my NFRW sisters and our Republican friends from magnificent South Dakota and beyond today. And Governor, by the way, you are so right that it is up to us to tell our personal stories, to inspire others from that personal standpoint so they understand why we believe what we believe. So thank you so much for pointing that out. And I'd also like to personally congratulate you on your common sense handling of COVID in South Dakota. I'm living in Virginia now while I serve my term as NFRW president. However, my home state is New York, where Governor Cuomo's mishandling has become a national scandal. Yet we have the media largely ignoring the facts and heaping praise on him. How do you suggest to all those present on today's call to fight back against the fake news and make sure that the real story gets out?
It's interesting because they turned Governor Cuomo into a hero. They held him up as the example that all of the rest of us governors should follow. In fact, I did an interview with George Stephanopoulos one Sunday morning, and Governor Cuomo was on right before me. And George said to him, Governor Cuomo, what advice do you have for Governor Noem in the decisions that she's making? How can you give her some advice on what she should be doing in her state? And I remember when they came to me, I just said, listen, this is the last guy I need advice from. And I think it's interesting how the media this last year has perpetuated fear in people, and they've used it to control people. You could give any reporter, national press, but even here in South Dakota, my local press, 10 different facts about a situation, and they would pick the worst one and only use that one to tell the story that they want to tell. And that has been pretty astonishing for me to see. I guess I didn't realize it was that bad until this last year, and how badly they would manipulate the story to fit the headline that they wanted to write that day. So what I would encourage all of you to do is continue to tell the truth and push back every single time. You absolutely have to push back every single time. We started in our office, whenever they printed something that was wrong, we corrected their story. We made them admit that they were correcting their story. If they refused to do that, then we put out an email with all the facts that they got wrong and talked specifically about that reporter that lied to the people in the state. And we sent that email and that information out to every single one on our media list, and sent it out to everyone that we had on our email list that wasn't involved in media, so that they would have the facts. Many times I got on social media and told the truth around a situation. I held daily press conferences and gave the facts and challenged them. But the one thing I learned was that you can't allow them to continue to drive an agenda through their forum, that it is up to us to hold them accountable. So you need to write the letters to the editor. You need to be on their social media platforms pushing back. You need to use every opportunity that you can to make sure the truth is heard, and call into radio talk shows, not just the friendly ones. Call into the ones that are more left leaning, because really most of the time people are not hearing the truth. And give them facts. I tell people consistently too, we have to take the emotion and the anger out of our discussion. We all have people in our life that we quit talking to because of politics. We have written them off because we've offended each other. And I tell the story quite a bit. I apologize if you've already heard it, but I had a pastor tell me years ago that, Kristi, people are going to throw offenses out at you all the time, but you're the one who decides if you want to bend over and pick it up and carry it around with you. But then you're the one carrying the burden. So he said, when people throw an offense out there, just let it be, let it lay there, walk right by. And that's really what we have to do in politics, because we've quit talking to people because they've offended us. But that means that they don't get the opportunity to hear the facts around the policies that they're embracing. The fact that most of what the left is pushing right now is socialism. It is communism, what they are pushing, and that we need to make sure they hear the truth of that. So that means we have to let go of the offenses, start conversations with people in our family and in our neighborhood that we haven't talked to in a long time, ask them questions. I'd say the vast majority of the public feels like they're not being heard, that nobody's listening to them. So listen to them, and then take the anger and emotion out and give them the facts and the history on what it is that they're saying they believe and why it's wrong.
And with our second question, we have Miriam Chu, Vice Chair of the North Carolina Republican Party.
Thank you, Catherine. And being here in North Carolina, we wish we had your governor. Honor to get to ask her a question today. And I'm someone who believes that public health policy should consider citizens' economic and social well-being, not just infection rates. As the governor has said, daily needs must be met. People must keep a roof over their heads and feed their families. And to me, that means men and women need good jobs. But the Biden administration seems intent on destroying jobs, and his supporters, such as Governor Cooper of North Carolina, seem infatuated with lockdowns. How can parents and voters and workers overcome these obstacles and get America back to the roaring 2019 economy?
Well, I think it's important that you show up. There's a lot of city council meetings. There's a lot of county commission meetings that we need people to show up at and to testify on behalf of ordinances that they're talking about or pushing that back up or challenge what governors in these different states have decided. I think that you have to go to your legislature and have those conversations as well, and then continue to talk about what's coming out of the White House. These executive orders that President Biden is pushing have been absolutely devastating. And he's signed more in this short amount of time than any time in history, and it has eliminated jobs. One of the ones that has concerned me the most is in regards to energy policy. In South Dakota, it's a long ways to drive anywhere. We use a lot of gas to get around. It's cold in the winter, it's hot in the summer. and energy prices dramatically impact us. And I think that happens in a lot of different states. And we should prioritize American energy, not just renewable, not just wind and solar. And I've always supported those as well. But if it's American energy policy is what we should continue to focus on. It is a national security issue for us whenever we talk about energy, whenever we talk about food. When another country supplies us with our energy and our food, then they control us. So that's why it's always important to rely on our own sources and our own ability to grow and to produce our own energy so that we have that kind of security. So telling that story, and we've already seen our energy prices in South Dakota go up 30% just since President Biden has been in office. We need to continue to call the White House, call your senators, call the congressmen, even call the ones that aren't from your state, that aren't from your district, because I remember when I served in Congress, it didn't take very much. It took 5 to 10 phone calls or emails before we really started paying attention. Most people don't think that that makes a difference. It does make a difference. A couple handfuls of people calling us about an issue, and me and my staff would sit around and say, okay, we really got to dig into this. This is something that's really important. So don't ever think that you showing up or calling or sending an email doesn't matter, because it does. It moves policy. And when they hear, they certainly do pay attention. We lost the Keystone Pipeline going through our state. They had already built the pumping stations. They had already laid out all the pipe. It just needed to be installed. It was hundreds of jobs gone overnight, and it will dramatically impact the areas the pipeline was going through, because it was going to be safer to move it through the pipeline for the environment, safer for people, and it was a much better energy national security issue as well. So we're very concerned about that, and hoping that the more we're united as governors, the more we're united as states that rely on an affordable energy supply, that we will be able to reverse that executive order.
Question 3 comes from the chair of the Delaware Republican Party, Jane Brady.
Thank you so much. And Kristi, it's so great to be here with you. I was really inspired by something you said at CPAC, that people still need purpose. They need their dignity. Now, for some of us, purpose comes from our religious faith. And over the past couple of years, some governors have kind of shut down churches and had a different policy toward churches than they do toward other businesses, even banning outside worship. And I'm wondering, I think we should do the polar opposite, right? Encourage people to pray, attend services, especially seek God's help, especially under these circumstances. Do you believe that maybe the choice is to keep open the churches in South Dakota helped your population, your people?
Oh, absolutely. And Jane, I think you're exactly right. So I had a lot of people from other states, because I think I went to about 17 states to campaign for the president during the election. And there was a lot of states I went to where they weren't allowed to have church. And when they would come to me and say, what should we do? I would say, go to church. You just go to church. That's one thing you don't let people take away from you. And the Bible specifically tells us to not forsake assembling together and worshiping together. So absolutely, I think it was beneficial to a lot of people. We saw some churches in South Dakota just make independent decisions to go online or to hold their services out in a park or to do something different. And I think that when they chose to do that, that absolutely was wonderful, that it was something their congregation agreed on. But I don't think very many churches quit meeting. And that's the one thing that concerned me the most about the pandemic, is I was concerned that if too many people got used to staying home, people would get used to not going to church. And this is a time when our country needs more church. We need more of the Lord. We need more faith, because I think it's the people that had faith that didn't get shaken by this virus. They trusted in the Lord and knew that if they worked together and believed in each other and believed in His care and love for our lives, that they were much more able to keep it in perspective. A lot of times I saw people lose perspective out of fear, and nobody makes a good decision when it's made out of fear.
Thank you so much again, Governor. I know how hectic things get during the legislative session, so thank you for setting time aside to be with us today.
Oh, absolutely. I loved it. And thank you all for all that you're doing and for being involved and fighting for our country and loving our country. You're inspiring to me. So thank you for all that you do, and I'll join you anytime. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Governor. And for everybody else, as we're drawing to a close, it's time to announce the winners of our door prizes. We have $10 Shields gift cards. For those who haven't visited, Shields is a marvelous sports and outdoors store, perfect for hunters, fishermen, kayakers, you name it. And if you don't live in the Midwest, no worries, Shields ships across the country. All SDFRW active and associate members on today's call were automatically entered. And our winners are Lacey Sosa and Lisa Carson. So I will be in touch with you guys. Congratulations. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you for joining us today. And special thanks to Sadie Davalos, who helped me with the technical side of running this event. If you guys are interested in election integrity, please register for Beverly Owensby NFRW's Zoom call this Saturday afternoon. And now Camille and Haley have agreed to sing a few more songs as our guests sign off. Hope to see you all again soon.
For waiting and listening to the amazing speech, Haley decided that we were going to make a South Dakota version of Country Roads by John Denver. So I was like, Haley, I don't think we can do that. She's like, I think we can pull it off. So here we go. This is South Dakota version. I love this song. Okay, here we go.
Almost heaven, South Dakota, Great Mount Rushmore, Black Hills and the Badlands. Life is open, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a breeze. Kristi Noem, take me home to the place I belong. South Dakota, mountain mama, take me home. Kristi Noem, all my memories gather around her. Miner's lady, stranger to blue water, dark and dusty, painted on the sky, misty days of moonlight, teardrop in my eye. Kristi Noem, take me home to the place I belong. South Dakota, mountain mama, take me home. Kristi Noem, I hear a voice in the morning hour, she calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. Driving down the road, I get the feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, Kristi Noem, take me home to the place I belong. South Dakota, mountain mama, take me home. Kristi Noem, take me home. Kristi Noem, take me home. Kristi Noem.
That's a special for you today. We've never done that before. We were just writing it just a second ago. So.
Oh,
Just
we thought
rewriting
we'd do
it.
another one that we do for political events. That's so fun. You guys can find us on YouTube as well. Camille and Haley are our names.
And yeah, thesisterduo.com is our website.
TheSisterDuo.com. We have 5 albums and a lot of music, so you can support us there. But this is a fun song we wrote. It's called Ain't Your Fool. And it's initially written to be like, hey, I'm not going to be tricked by you. But we figured out that it kind of goes over for politicians. You know, we're not going to be in high school. So it's just kind of a fun one. We'll do this one for you. Thank you guys for being here today.
Ain't your fool. I like this lovers videos. Feel like you. Ooh. can see through. I ain't so cool. Say you want a good girl like me, you gotta be a good boy, darling. If you want to change it, how about you and me? One thing for sure, I ain't so nothing under this big bright sun. Nothing that can get through to my heart. Ooh, something about you that really gets to me. I don't get hung up on good looks and cowboy charms. I can see through you. I ain't so say you want a good girl, you gotta be a good boy, darling. If you wanna make some changes, how about you and me? One thing for sure, I ain't so one thing for sure, I ain't so fool. One thing for sure, I ain't so fool.
Thank you.
You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great day.